Hello everyone and welcome in online learning. Today we will see one of the poem from our CBSE class 10th. The name of the poem is A Tiger in the Zoo. This poem is written by the poet Leslie Norris. In this poem some difficult words will come across. So let's see them. First word is stalks. Stalks means follows. Otherwise, in different meaning, the moves slowly. Vivid, bright colored, pads, paws of tiger, or the soft bed. Rage, anger, lurking, to be hidden as to wait for your prey or any prey. Snarling, warning sound made by animals. Bearing, uncovered. Fangs, sharp teeth of animals. Concrete, building made of bricks, cement and sand and water. Before going to see the actual poem, let's know some background in the form of the introduction to the poem. This poem, A Tiger in the Zoo, contrast a tiger when it is in its natural habitat, natural home, and when it is imprisoned, caged in a zoo. The two different situations for the tiger is contrasted and compared to bring out the difference between the natural way of living the tiger. On a starry night, the poet observed the tiger in the night time where the sky is full of stars. The poet sees a tiger in a zoo. The tiger moves slowly, stalks and down in his cage, in a distance of cage. He is fully in a rage, angry, but he is quite in his helplessness. He knew his restrictions well. The poet is moved to pity. The poet is sympathetic for the tiger. He says that tiger should have been in the jungle, in its natural home. He should have been moving quietly in the shadows of the trees, grass, near some water holes or some water bodies, and waiting for a plum deer to pass that way as a prey of the tiger. But sadly, the tiger is locked behind the bars in a concrete cell. Here the concrete cell is zoo, cage of the tiger. He does not take any notice of the visitors came in the zoo and is looking at the brilliant stars with his brilliant eyes in the skies, neglecting the visitors in the zoo. Now he has to be contained, satisfied with the merely looking at the stars, and he should be restricted. He should be happy only with the stars, not with the human beings or his prey. He is no longer free to move in his natural habitat or home and look at the brilliant stars from there in his home, natural home, jungle, forest. A tiger in the zoo. Now, step by step, we will see the 5 stanzas of the poem and we will have the good explanation with the help of the pictures or graphics which we have got here. The first stanza begins here. He stalks in his vivid strips the few steps of his cage on the pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. The poet says that the tiger that is confined, tied in the zoo, moving around in the cage under his bright skin colored. Tiger is caged and not allowed to come out from the cage. He further says that tiger can make only a few steps because the cage is small and it is not easy to move beyond the cage. Means the tiger who love to enjoy the free life in the forest, but the same tiger is confined in the distance of the cage. He is enjoying the slavery, the restrictions laid by the jail authorities or zoo authorities. One cannot hear his footsteps because he has very soft feet like a velvet, because of which there is no sound of the tiger's footsteps. Children, you may not be remembering the 7th class poem Macavity. Macavity is the name of cat. The cat is having a different typical characteristics. When he lands on its feet without any notice of anyone causing his footsteps sound. Similarly, the tiger also belongs to the same category, feline category, the cat. And even when tiger walks, he doesn't create the sound of footsteps, and that's why he is able to catch hold his prey like a plum deer. The tiger tries to control his anger by quietly walking in the limited areas of his cage. He is angry because he is not free. In this picture, you can see a tiger in a silent, quiet mood is controlling his anger, not displaying his anger. The tiger is having black, vivid, bright strips on his body. That is the main feature, physical feature of the tiger. He stalks, he walks slowly in his dignified way. And as he walks in his cage, he is allowed to walk only the few steps of the cage. And tiger is using his paws, the four legs with the paws, and he is creating very soft sound of footsteps, just like a soft velvet is there. The tiger is seen in the cage like a quiet, but anger is behind and underlined it. The second stanza deals here with he should be lurking in a shadow, sliding through the long grass near the water hole where the plum deer pass. Now, first stanza was of a tiger who was in a cage. Now, second stanza is of his natural habitat, that is in jungle or forest. The poet expects the tiger should be lurking, hiding to attack in the shadow of trees or grass, sliding, moving through the long grasses near the water body or water hole where the plum deers are passing and coming to quench their thirst, where the tiger may attack and kill them. Here the plum deers are just a symbolic one, where the other animals also became the prey of the tiger. The poet says that if this tiger was free in a jungle, he should have hidden himself behind the long grass near the water bodies, so that he could easily catch a deer in order to have it as its food by his own. Basically, the poet wants to say that the actual life of tiger is to live in a jungle where he could catch his prey and eat it. But the tiger is in the cage and cannot do so. Tiger should be in a natural home where he should have found his own food, but now it's not possible for him. Here in this picture you can see a tiger is lurking, hiding to attack in a shadow of the trees. Here the tiger is in a mood of attack, and in the long grasses he is trying to hide himself from the sight of other animals. When he sees the prey, he slides through the long grasses and attack on the prey. And when anything coming near the water hole or water bodies, like a drinking water, that time if the plum deer is seen there busy in drinking the water, the tiger may attack and kill it and have its own food. The third stanza again moves further. He should be snarling around the houses at the jungle's edge, wearing his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. The poet expects the same tiger should be snarling, creating his own natural sound like a roaring around the houses at the jungle's edge. By the side of jungle, some villages could have been settled there, and by going there, he may warn them, charge them by his roaring, making them scared and frightened by uncovering his white teeth, which is called as a fangs, poisonous teeth of snake, and his claws, his paws with the pointed nails, which will be used to tear the bodies of the prey, terrorizing, frightening the village. Once the tiger attacked in the nearby the areas of the forest, in the villages, the villagers are frightened when the tiger roars. The poet says that if the tiger would have been free, he would have been snarled, roared around the houses located at the outskirts, outside of the forest. He would terrorize, frighten the people with his sharp teeth and claws. This would create the fear among the people living in the villages. He should be snarling, creating his natural sound around the houses at the jungle's edges where the people are living in small houses as a village. He roars and frightens the villagers and able to catch them as his prey. And not only the human beings, sometimes he catches the animals of the villagers. He stalks very slowly in a dignified way to terrorize the people. Sometimes he bears with his roaring, his white fangs and his claws are sharpened and charged, terrorizing the village. And to see the tiger nearby, all the villagers are running away to save their lives by leaving their houses. Snarling around the houses, which is creating the fear in the mind of villagers. Now further, the stanza deals with the tiger is back in the zoo again, but he is locked in a concrete cell, built of the cement, sand, and the water. Cell here is a cage. His strength is behind the bars, all the power the tiger is having is kept behind the bar now. Now tiger has become powerless, stalking the length of his cage, walking slowly, only the length provided, the distance provided in the cage, ignoring the visitors. And this time, the same people he could have seen in the zoo, but being visitors, he will ignore them because it's of no use, because he cannot cross the bars and the barriers of the cage. How the poet comes to the reality of the tiger, that inside the cage he says that the tiger is confined, tied to a strong sail cage which is made of strong building materials. He further says that as the tiger is behind the bars, so his ferociousness, his anger is also behind the bars. He just stalks, walks in a slow manner in the cage helplessly. He never tries to terrorize the visitors where he happened to terrorize the villagers beside the jungle. Because his power is restricted and controlled by the cage, therefore he never tries to terrorize the visitors as he cannot attack them. In this picture you can see the tiger is locked in a concrete cell and he is found helplessness. His strength now is behind the bars and he is now only to rest. Now, whenever the visitors comes in the zoo, he only ignore them, not watching them and charging them, snarling and roaring at them. He only does one thing, that is ignore the visitors. He only preferred to stalking the length or the distance of the cage. And now, the last number stanza is the entire frustration, entire sadness of the tiger is disclosed here by the poet. Is tiger doesn't prefer the cage life. He expects the freedom in his natural habitat, that is jungle. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling car. Patrolling car means giving a strict vigilance and watch over the area of the zoo. And the stairs look at something continuously with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Here, the poet, when he visits the zoo at night time, he watches the tiger in the zoo. The tiger is listening carefully the patrolling cars. The cars in which the guards are giving a strict vigilance and watch over the zoo. At that time, the tiger stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars in the skies. The poet says that in the night the tiger hears the sounds of the patrolling cars. Patrolling cars are only the police which are used to guard at night. In the night, the tiger hears the sound of these cars. He then stares at the shining stars with his shining eyes. The poet wants to say that the tiger is sad and he is confined in the cage, so he cannot do anything, only remain there in the cage helplessly. Therefore, the tiger stares at the stars in the night and tries to divert his thoughts towards them, towards the peacefulness or quietness, to look at the brilliant stars. Here, you can see the patrolling cars, which is heard as a last voice of the day or the night of the patrolling cars. And the tiger only does one thing, he stares, look at continuously with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So here I happen to conclude the poem as the poet Leslie Norris compares and contrasts a tiger when it is in its natural habitat and home, but a cage life in the zoo. The tiger, being powerful animal in the jungle, loves to be free. But when he is kept in the zoo, he does not like the slavery or dependence or imprisoned life. The tiger, being powerless and agonize, the cage life has totally changed the tiger's personality. The tiger is trying to say that the animal which is famous for its fearlessness and freedom, he is confined and sad due to the human being who want to derive the pleasure by looking at them in the zoo cage. The tiger not happy when the visitors come in the zoo to watch him, because visitors might be deriving the pleasures, but at the same time the tiger is not happy. This is the same theme, message is conveyed by the poet to the readers. So I hope you understood this poem.